Welcome to the deep dive. Look, if you're connected to the world of professional trucking, you definitely know the stakes are incredibly high right now. It's demanding out there. The market, the tech, it's all changing fast. And for millions of you, well, the road's probably never felt bumpier.
And that volatility, that uncertainty, it's exactly why we're doing this deep dive today. We want to give you a real survival guide.
Yeah.
We've dug into sources, platforms like LifeAsATrucker giving that frontline view, and even health forums like Truckers VA trying to pull out the really essential nuggets for you.
Right. We're looking at articles covering everything. Big market shifts, company failures, controversial new tech, but also, importantly, actual strategies for financial security.
Exactly. And the big question we're trying to unpack for you is this. How do you, as a driver, stop feeling like, I don't know, just a cog in the machine, totally dependent on miles in that HOS clock?
Yeah, how do you shift that?
How do you start operating more like a resilient business owner, someone who's actually building a kind of like a shield against all these ups and downs?
Okay, let's start with the reality check then. The hard numbers. We're definitely in this intense period of market consolidation. And it's not just theory, right? It means companies are failing. We saw that one $6 million fleet recently liquidated, everything auctioned off. I mean, that's a brutal end.
It really is. And that kind of failure, it's a massive warning sign for every single driver and owner-operator out there. You need to look at the root causes.
What are they seeing as the main drivers?
Well, it's kind of a perfect storm, isn't it? You've got operating costs, diesel, insurance, maintenance just soaring.
Right. Well, at the same time, the money coming in, it's dropping. That spot rate sugar rush from the COVID year.
Oh, that's long gone, yeah. Now carriers are basically in a race to the bottom, fighting over falling freight rates. And it's the small guys, the mid-sized fleets, they're the ones getting absolutely crushed.
So it comes down to adapting or not adapting.
Pretty much. What often separates the ones who fail from the ones who make it through is that adaptability. Sticking to old models, maybe taking on too much debt, and just not creating any leverage, or frankly, not building any kind of side revenue. I mean, if a $6 million asset base can't save a company, it tells you something about the traditional model, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. And that instability, it just slams the driver personally, right?
Yeah.
It feeds directly into that awful stat about most new drivers quitting in the first year.
Exactly. It's usually not about the driving skill itself. It's the mental grind, the financial pressure.
What are the biggest pain points they mention for rookies?
Oh, they're huge. The isolation, first off. You're like 900 miles from home, living in the sleeper, missing everything back home. It's tough.
Yeah.
And then there's the infamous dispatch drama.
Ugh, yeah. Being treated like you're lazy for sticking to your hours of service, or feeling like you have to argue just to get proper rest.
Precisely. Or, feeling like a criminal because you need to fight for detention pay, even though that time is literally your money.
And the pay itself. The ads promise big bucks, but the reality.
Often it's just not there, is it? When you factor in all that unpaid waiting time, the actual hourly rate can be pretty miserable.
So the message coming through from these sources from the community is basically operate with an exit plan. Always.
Absolutely. Survival means never, ever being 100% reliant on just one company, one paycheck. The really smart truckers, they're not just driving hard, they're moving smart. They're tracking their time, their money, like a business.
Okay, moving smart. That brings us neatly to this conflict, this tension between the idea of freedom on the open road and the reality of that 70-hour clock.
Yeah, the hours of service rule, it really is like an invisible warden for drivers, isn't it? Dictates everything. Doesn't matter if you feel fine to drive, the ELD says stop.
And the real killer financially is the waiting time, right? Sitting still.
That's the core of it. Time is money. Every single hour you burn waiting at a dock or hunting for parking or dealing with paperwork. That's an hour you can't use for driving and earning within that 70-hour limit.
So real freedom isn't about the miles, it's about leverage.
Exactly. Leverage over that clock. Leverage over your time.
Okay, speaking of things controlling time and driving, we have to talk about auto braking systems. AEB. There's a lot of friction there. Is it safety? Or is it more about liability for the carriers?
It's a really tricky intersection of both, I think. And the industry seems pretty torn. I mean, on the plus side, yeah, AEB can reduce rear-end crashes. You can see the data. And maybe newer drivers, folks less experienced with, handling a fully loaded rig in tight spots, maybe they feel a bit safer with it.
But the pushback from veteran drivers is strong, isn't it? They talk about false positives.
Oh yeah. That's a major concern highlighted in the sources. The system slamming on the brakes because of a shadow or an overpass or a sign. Imagine that with 80,000 pounds behind you, an unexpected hard brake. That could cause a worse situation, right? Destabilize everything.
And then there's the business angle. Carriers seem to love this tech.
Well, yeah, there are big incentives, lower insurance premiums for one, but also it's a massive legal shield for them.
How so?
They can go into court after an incident and say, look, we installed the absolute latest mandated safety tech. It helps shift blame potentially away from the company and maybe towards the driver or the circumstances.
So the tough question for you, the driver, becomes, is this tech really there to save your life, or is it more about protecting the company's bottom line? Especially if every move, every sudden break is logged.
Mm-hmm. And it feels like a bit of a slippery slope towards more automation too, doesn't it? Where the driver becomes more of a system monitor than an active operator.
And the FMCSA is already proposing making AEB mandatory on new trucks anyway, right? So drivers will have to deal with it one way or another.
That seems to be the direction things are heading, yes. So if the market's shaky and technology is taking more control of the driving itself, well, survival really has to come from gaining control over the things you can manage.
Like your money, your benefits, your time.
Exactly. Which steers us towards the solutions popping up in these sources. Let's talk about fixing that wreck of traditional health insurance first. ICHRA comes up a lot.
Okay, ICHRA. Break that down simply.
Right. It stands for Individual Coverage Health Reimbursement Arrangement. Basically, think of it like this. Instead of one rigid group plan, your employer gives you a set amount of money each month, tax-free. Let's say $400.
So a health budget.
Exactly. Then you, the driver, go onto the health insurance marketplace and pick an individual plan that actually fits your needs, your family, where you live. The company then reimburses you that $400 towards your premium.
And the big deal for truckers is portability.
Portability is huge. Truckers switch jobs. They live all over the country, often far from HQ. With ICHRA, that policy you chose, it stays with you. You change companies, you keep your insurance. That's real security in a job that often feels insecure.
That makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
And it probably helps the fleets too, right? Predictable costs.
Absolutely. They know exactly what they're contributing per driver each month. No more unpredictable spikes from group plans. It kind of feels like a win-win for financial control.
Okay, so controlling benefits is one piece of building that shield we talked about. But the sources really hammer home the idea of multiple income streams, don't they?
Oh, totally. That's the core philosophy pushed by groups like LifeAsATrucker. Their whole message is, stop relying 100% on that HOS clock and that steering wheel to feed your family.
So how do you do that? Use the truck as a mobile office.
That's the concept. You have to weaponize your downtime. That's the term they use.
Weaponize downtime. Okay, so instead of just scrolling on your phone during a 34-hour reset or a 10-hour break.
Right. You should be actively learning high-income skills. Or, better yet, setting up ways to make recurring monthly income. And the advice now is really leaning into using AI tools to help with that.
AI. How does a trucker use AI on the road? Give me an example.
Okay, so imagine you're on that 34-hour reset. You could use tools like, say, ChatGPT to whip up some social media posts, or maybe write email marketing copy, or even build a simple web page for a small local business you saw on your route, like a restaurant or a small repair shop.
So you market yourself as a sort of mobile digital helper.
Yeah. A mobile content creator, maybe? You're already parked, often in places where your overhead is basically zero. You turn that mandatory downtime into billable hours, creating digital stuff for clients anywhere.
And that extra, say, $400 a month you make from that side gig, that becomes your cushion, your protection if rates dip or, worst case, your company goes under.
Precisely. It's all about adaptation. Real freedom, the sources argue, starts when you've got income coming in that isn't tied to driving hours. Suddenly, you're not quite so scared of dispatch, are you? You're working towards your goals, your retirement, based on your own leverage.
It's interesting, though, even as the how of survival changes, moving from just driving to maybe being a digital entrepreneur from the cab, that core trucker identity, that pride, it seems to stick around. You see it in things like, those vintage denim flag patch trucker hats everyone seems to wear.
Yeah, that hat is a great symbol, actually. It's more than just fashion, isn't it? It's a statement.
What's it saying?
It bridges the past and present. That denim, the flag, It screams rugged working-class pride, the whole backbone of America identity. But now, that same hat fits just as well on an old-school guy running a CB as it does on a younger driver filming their AI side hustle during a reset.
Right. It says, yeah, I might deal with ELDs and low rates, but I'm still the one who hustles, who gets things done, who keeps things moving.
Exactly. And whether that hustle today means fighting for better benefits like ICHRA, or mastering tricky tech like AEB, or building that online income stream, the end goal is always the same, isn't it?
Financial freedom, personal freedom. On your own terms?
That's it. Achieving it on the driver's own terms.
So if we tie all these threads together, the message for you listening is pretty clear, isn't it?
It feels undeniable. The industry is basically forcing you to diversify. You can't afford to think like just a driver anymore, someone who might get laid off or squeezed out. You got to think like a business owner. Adapt, build leverage, control your future.
Okay, so let's bring it home for everyone listening. We started this deep dive talking about that $6 million fleet going under. A huge cost, obviously, for the company owners. But maybe the more urgent question for you is this. What's the cost to you if you don't have an exit strategy?
Think about all that mandatory downtime, that 34-hour reset coming up. What's one specific skill you could learn, one piece of digital leverage you could start building? Could you research ICHRA properly? Could you set up that first AI-assisted side gig? What can you actively build next time you're sitting still?
Because that is the path to actually taking control.
Think smart, build smart, and stay free out there.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the Trucking Survival Guide. We'll catch you on the next one.